cannot be the nefesh which is makif, which really can't be included within the person. It's too much for him. But it's his contact, or we called it last week, it's the wormhole through which he accesses that above, and that above can come down to him. And that nefesh, Gavoya, is connected to the nefesh of Bahami, which is the nefesh which lies within every chayo, behemo, or adam, and the nefesh will be feed the madrega of the body it inhabits, and the connection between the nefesh, the nefesh Gavoya, enables the man to contact, enables the connection between Adam and Shemayim. Adam and Oretz and Shemayim. Okay. Now look at Beis Dalet. Even though we've really discussed by now, till now, that there's one nefesh, which is the nefesh of Bahami. He balas chalokim rabim adrega shoynos. Fanucha loima shenafoshes rabbi ein shemizkash zoi b'toich zoi betabois hashalteles. In the Zoya, is considered of this four nefoshes. It's called nefesh, which is the nefesh of Bahami, nefesh, ruach, neshomo, chayo, and yechido. That's the lashon which is said in the Zoya. Nefesh, ruach, neshomo, chayo, yechido. Nachi, it's called. Nefesh, ruach, neshomo, nachi. That's what it's the abbreviation of it in the Zoya and Arizal. And these nefoshes actually represent. Yechido is the highest form, which is almost not connected to the human being whatsoever. Yechido. Yechido is like the kemat, the highest of them. Now these four, nefesh, ruach, neshomo, chayo, nefesh, ruach, neshomo, chayo, they are corresponding to the four worlds. The four worlds meaning, this is our world, which is the Olam Asiya, above it, there's the Olam Yitzira, and there's Olam Priya, and then there's Olam Atzilut. There's the four Olamis that we know that there's Abia, Asiya, that's our world. Then there's Yitzira, then there's Priya, yes, and then there's Atzilut, Abia. Now, these four worlds are represented, that means, Ki'ilu Kaviyochel, man is made up. If Ivevela, at the beginning of the Nefesh HaChaim, that's how he starts off the whole Sefer. Man is made up. He's made up of parts of all the world. That is the Nefoshes, Nefesh, Ruach, Neshomo, Chayo, they represent each world. That means the Nefesh is the Olam Asiya, Ruach is zero, that's Ruach is zero, Nefesh Ruach, Neshomo is Priya, yes, and you have Chayo, which that's Atzilus, and Yechido is really all the way up, no connection to us. And why is it important? Because that's the connection that we have. We are literally made up. We are made up of Neshomas, our Nefoshes are made up of parts of that world. And that's the reason why we can connect to the whole. That's why our tefillas are all the world. Literally, it's like and if you look in the going talks about Machshova, is must on one Neshama, Asir is must on another Neshama. These four Neshama, there's the whole time. Each one, when you do a mitzvah, and there's mitzvahs which you toil in your high neshama, in the lower neshamas, but it's all coming to give over to us one idea. We can affect up on high. And why can we affect up on high? Because within us, there's an innate connection to all the ilamis. And that connection which lies within us gives us the ability to repel that. And that's what really the Ramchal is saying here. אף על פי שקראו דרך כלל נפש אחת, הנה באמס היא בעלת חלוקים רבים, וברגע שוינויס, וכבר נוכל לומר, שנפושס רביס הם שמזכר שזוי בפרזוי, ותבויס השלשלת. The nefoshes are interconnected. Each nefesh is connected to the nefesh above it. Like shalsheles. וכמו שמכולו נבנס השלשלת ההיא, כמו שראו לו. כן מכל אלה המדרגס הנפשיות נבנה כלל הנפש עלינו זכרנו. So he split it into a nefesh tachtoino when he started off. That basically there's nefesh tachtoino and nefesh elyono. He says, but really in essence you can put it down to many different levels of the forces which lie within a person. Kulam kshurei zu bezu v'achroino. The nefesh atachtoino, the lowest level of nefesh, is a nefesh atachtoino. V'hatachtoino b'dam k'mosh zachanu. That's when we said last week, dam nefesh. Again, because dam represents the chiyus of a person. The dam, which is flowing around the body of the human being, enables the chiyus. It gives the life. It's the life source of the body. And therefore, chiyus, which is represented in dam in the body, is really the nefesh habami, which gives that chiyus. It's the part which cannot be seen through any DNA check or any what they call those the CVs. See, when you what? No. When it's not X-ray. What they call the other one? CT. No CT will see how you live. They'll see you have all the evorim with which to live. But the essence of life lies beyond that. That's the nefesh, which is represented in the human body. The connection to the body is the dam which flows and gives the ability to live in the body. Now, I've told you, that's why we started off this period. The importance of this period, which is really the way Nefesh HaChaim starts off his Sefer, is to give you an innate connection up on high. Correct? That means you have within you already the ability to connect because you are made up, you have within you the nefesh which is shaykh up on high. But what? The body, your body is shaykh down here. So you have a body which is shaykh down here, and you have a nefesh, ruach, neshama, chai, yechidah, which is literally throwing you up on high. It says that let's get this straight. These nefoshes are really shaykh up on high. We call it a neshama. That means those who are not Kabbalistically educated, we know that there's a neshama. The neshama is not just neshama is made up of parts, different madregas of nefesh within you. Neshama is one of them. Nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yechidah. Now, these things are your access point up on high because they're shaykh to the olam ha'olam. Each one is literally a representative of those elamas. So says the Ramchal, there are different times when the neshamas can go back to where they belong. When's that? ואיפה שיסתלקו קצת מן החלוקים האלה בזמן מן הזמנים, ישובו אחר כך, they can leave and go back home. As I'm sorry to say it, but let's say the way we would describe it is, the famous comic is E.T. going home. Correct? The extraterrestrial is going back home. The neshamas are going back home. They're home, they're not shaykh to here. they're shaykh to the Lomas and Yonim. And therefore, there are certain times where they will go back to their shirish. Where's that? He says, Yeshuva Chaka will come back to you afterwards. Or they will add to themselves from what is up high. That means there's an enormous amount of action going on inside your neshamas. They are really interactive. They're not just sitting there passive. They're the things that are moving. You're doing a very coming down. You're doing a mitzvah, they're going up. You're going up, they're bringing down from there. You're going up there, they're giving there. But you don't see it, he says. Lo yiroe roishem mikol ze baguf klal. Ikva'ein pulas and the forces eila baguf mogash. In essence, it's the metaphysical and the physical. It's the spiritual. It's the spiritual and the physical. They live in two different domains. One does not affect the other. One cannot be seen in the other, even though they dwell together. The two things dwell together, even though in essence they are two different. They're completely two different material completely. And there'll be no effect of the nefashos, not to the life of the man, and not to his emotional situation. The real man, we are a shadow. It's so, if Plato wouldn't have been a guy, if Plato wouldn't have been a philosopher guy, he could almost have been a makubal. When Plato gave his famous play about the guy sitting in the cave, the tribe living in the cave, and they'd never been outside. And all they've seen were the shadows. When they made a fire, there were shadows outside. And they were sure that outside was the world of shadows. They were sure until somebody went outside and actually saw somebody else. And he came back and said, they're not shadows outside, they're human beings. So Plato said, that's what we are. In essence, here's the other way around. We are the shadows. We are the shadows. What are we? We're a mere shadow of the real person who lives up on the high. That means the neshama represents the real me. The ruach, the neshama, the chayo yechido, represent the real Bani Rebbe. He doesn't dwell on this world. This world, I am the shadow, but I can affect my real self. It's a phenomenal understanding. We are that world of shadows that Plato was talking about. It's the us. And that's the truth. And we think we're real. It's the opposite of Plato. Plato said they thought they were shadows and they were real. Here, we think we're real and we're the shadows. But we're shadows who can affect our real self. Unbelievable perspective on life. That's what he says. Listen to the word of the Heilige Ramchal. Says the Ramchal. He says, the neshama and the ruach neshama chai yechida will not affect the matzav ruach. You don't become happier or sadder. It won't help your self-esteem. It won't affect your muscle tone, and it won't affect the way you look. But he says, Elo pu'ulosam, the pu'ulas of those neshamas, the nefashos, the mashu inyoni shalodam amitai, they affect the real man, not the shadow. The real man. The yachasoi and his connection, our real roots lie up high. The real person, I exist in all the ilamos. And in this world is the lowest form of me. In fact, this is only a reflection of the real me. And these nefashos, they affect the real me. They might live in my shadow body. That's where they dwell. But they affect the real me. ממש phenomenal. מכלל זה הוא עניין, הנה, ביחסים בשלושת מילים, כפי משהו לא לקרוא בו. הנה מכלול זה הוא עניין הנשמה יסרו, שבו בשבת קודש וילך לו במועצת שבת. ואין ביוסף ולא יציא עושה נגוש בגוף. You don't feel it. What do you feel? I feel more tired on Shabbos. I blame it on the neshama yisero. But in fact, the Ramchal says it ain't nothing to do with it. It's just a psychological effect. The fact that you stop working. There is no physical effect of the neshama yisero. In a klal chelkei haneshama mitzchalek lechamisha. Nikroim nefesh ruach neshama. Now, it's a phenomenal idea. It's absolutely a phenomenal idea. The nefoshes on my connection to up high, they lie within me, and they give me a connection to everything. I mean, but the main difference, the main chiddush which this gives to our understanding is this: you're not disconnected. And this is where the Kabbalistic literature teaches us it changes the human who we are. If I come to you and tell you, if you go to even come to the Rambam and you tell him there is something called Ruach HaKodesh, there is something which is called Nevius, the Rambam will say to you, that's a contradiction to you. I mean, that cannot really coexist with you because you are physical, you're physical, and that's pure spirituality. Where is your connection to these things? So the Rambam had a real issue with Nevius and Ruach HaKodesh because there had to be some sort of pirut, some sort of being dislocated from your body to be able to have the ability to connect up on high. And without being completely disconnected, there's no way boss of Adam can have some sort of connection with spirituality. But in the Mekubalim, it's not true. That's why the Mekubalim, when they start off this poem, literally, the Reb Chaim Vital Sefer of Shara Kedusha, or if it's Chaim Valoj in the Sefer Nefesh HaChaim, the Hagdoma to the Sefer, the Ershta Aleph, the Psicha to the Sefer is, know yourself. I'm going to introduce you to the real you. That means the introduction is you are a husk around enormous neshamas. Good evening, Reb Chaim.
Good evening. I forgot to tell me that you're on. My apologies.
Okay, so we're talking about the different. We're continuing last week's here. We were talking about the different neshamas which exist in a person, and there's 5 different neshamas that Ramchal just told us: nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yechida. I was explaining now that Ramchal explained also. I was explaining now that the Ramchal and before we look inside, all the Mekubalim, they start off their Sforim with this. This is like the introduction to the Sforim. The Chaim Vital wrote the Sefer Shara Kedusha, which is literally how a person must live their life. And he starts it off with explaining the inner, what happens inside a person. He might look like boss of Adam. He looks like physical being. But inside him, there are madregas after madregas of different forms of nefashos. It's called the Lashon of the Zoya: nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, and yechid. And there's 5 different neshamas, or 4 inside him. And each one represents a different world. There's the world, our world, which is Olam Asiyah, the world above it, which is Olam Yetzirah, the world above it, which is Olam Abriya, and the world above it, which is Atzilus. And it's not just a play in language or play of numbers. It's your innate connection. You have a connection be'etzem, within you, before you do anything, to all these Olamos. The Chaim Volozhin starts off, he says, you know why a person can create worlds? Why can a person with his actions, with his davening, with his mitzvah, be masakel Olamos? He said, do you know why? Because you think you're just a human being, which belongs to this low world down here. But within you, you literally have a part of each of these Olamos. You have within you a part which is shaykh to those Olamos. Those nefashos, these neshamas, literally their home base is up above. They were given to you down here. They should have within you a connection up high. And it's one of the most phenomenal ideas. And it's one of the most, I think of all the ideas, it changes the perspective of a human being on this world. You look on the outside, boss of Adam, but within me, I have a part of all the highest hemispheres. And that's why I'm connected. I have an innate connection to all that is above me, and therefore my mitzvahs. Now, I always bring one example, which is an example it's a shocking example. The example is, and that's why Nivua and Ruach HaKodesh was such an important issue by the Rambam and by the Mekubalim. By the Rambam, why was it important? Because the Rambam's perspective was the exact opposite. The Rambam looked at the human being as being made up of Bos of Adam. He can do mitzvahs. He can even, there is some form of a debate that he can have. But he is an inhabitant of this world. He does not belong to any other world. In fact, there's no way that a malach can walk on this world. There's no way that any spirituality can touch this world. Because there is a complete disconnect between them. For Navua was something which in essence shouldn't exist. Because Navua is the mifgash, the meeting place between man and God. And that should not be able to exist. How does it exist? The Rambam has a serious issue. And therefore the Rambam, everywhere, whether it's in Moed Nevuchim, whether it's in Shmoyne Prokim, whether it's Perik Chelek, in Mamish, tens of places, or whether it's in Yad HaChazokah, in tens of places, he talks about Arichas, about Nevius. And he talks about this issue. How can there be a mifgash, a meeting place, a true connection between both? He says there must be some sort of shidud hateva, some sort of man leaving his body. There has to be some sort of a disconnect between man and his body. He says what? It can only be through dream. In a dream state, so man is not connected to his body. So in that dream state, anything can happen. In the same way they explained in Nevuchim, when Avraham Avinu saw the Malachim, he never saw them. No Malachim walked on earth, says the Rambam, it was a dream. It means in dream, it happened in some sort of dream realm, but not in any sort of physical realm. That is the shit of the Rambam. The fields is in essence something which shouldn't exist. The only possibility is Chalai. The Mekubalim, their approach is the exact opposite. Who are you? Rambam, that's what the Ramchal just said. The real me, Ramchal said, the real me is up on high. You know what's down here? a shadow, a reflection, a little reflection of the real me. I belong to up on high. Even in my shadow self has within it parts of up on high. There is no reason on earth why, well said, no reason on earth, understand, there's no reason on earth why man should not be able to meet God in real affairs. Now, this comes to there's a lotion of the Chaim Vital in Shari Kedusha, where it's so shocking, I have to read it to you, and then you'll understand what I mean. Chaim Vital says like this. After he explains a man is made of all this, he's really a husk of body surrounding neshamas within him, which are shayach lemalo. Yes? So he says like this, after this Hagdama that I've told you, lo yiksho beinecho inyan hanevius. Nevius is not something which is so difficult. It's not something which is so hard. When the Pasuk says Ledovka boy, the Torah is saying man can touch God. The Kubalim learned those words kipshutoi, Ledovka boy, because the real man, what you're seeing here is only a shadow of the real me. The real me is a spiritual being. I am a spiritual being with enormous, within me lies all the greatest realms of spiritual existence there is. No problem. The dovka boy sidbok, ki hanavi mizdabek b'Hashem yisbarach. That's what it is. Ve'ein zeh teimo. Here is an isbayer. Ve'ein shum oil davukim oil. Ein shum oil davukim oil. 1 second. Oh, 1 second. Sorry, I didn't put the next page. But it's not difficult. It's a very simple thing. Views is not something that shouldn't be understood. And afterwards, this is a Shari Kedusha, when it was first printed, left out the third part of it. There's a third part of it talks about how a person should try to get the Ruach HaKodesh. And that was left out. And in the last 20 years it was printed. But it's a phenomenal to see the idea. He gives us like a textwork scheme, how to get not an Nevius. Nevius is an enormous level. Ruach HaKodesh. And Ruach HaKodesh, he says, everyone should be able to get it. Some people, they write it. How do you do it? He said, first of all, he says like this. He says, go to a quiet room. Go to a quiet room, and start meditating. Meditating. The whole third part of Shari Kedusha is literally meditations, different forms of meditations, which the whole Matorah is, let me explain to you what it is, not to get away from yourself, but to find your real self. Meditation doesn't help to find somebody else. Meditation is to calm the mind, to channel yourself, to be able to find your real inner self. Correct? Says the Chaim Vital, after all I've told you, Nevius is not running away. It's not running away, it's not going to dreams. It's finding your inner center. Finding that which is within you. Says the Ramchal, and is literally, says the Shari Kedusha, it's literally 30 pages of quotes from Rishonim, from the Rav Avad Bezdin, who was the Rebbe of of the Ramban. It's from Rabbi Isaac Miako, who was the Rebbe of the Ravid. There were schools of the Kabbalah of the Rishonim, and each of them writes meditative, different forms of meditation to what? To find your inner self. And that's where the Chaim Vital starts. He says, I'm not talking to you to find something which is impossible, because it lies within you. This is a phenomenal idea. And it changes the way we look at a human being. He's no longer boss of a dom that is outside. Within him is the connection to all that is which is above him. If you have time over the next week, have a look at the first 2-3 prokim of Nefesh HaChaim. Chaim V'Loshana. You're not talking about hundreds of years ago. You're talking about Chaim V'Loshana. And he writes in his Akdama that the Sefer is written to Balabatim. He gave it shit to Balabatim. He starts off the Sefer, the whole first Shah of Nefesh HaChaim is about Tefillah. But he starts off, and what did he say to you? I want to introduce you to yourself. No, you're not Harry Shimon. You're not Danny Rabin. You're not Shalom Lerner. You're not Jeff Siegel. That's not what you are. You are Nefesh, Ruach, Neshomo, Chayo, Yechidah. You're made up of all the elements up above. And that inner you can connect. And Tefillah, that's really the Akdama for him, for Tefillah. Tefillah is what? A form of connection. That's what it is. It's a form of connection up above. Aryeh Kaplan, wonderful, wonderful story he writes on the meditation. On one of his stories he writes, he says, why did Chazal until Sagdelo, why were the Mesakim fast the same Shmona Esrei is the Tefillah of us, the Tefillah. Why were they Mesakim the same words 3 times a day? We have so much to daven for, so much. Why can't we vary a bit? Let's do Shachris, let's do fully Ruchnias. Minche, let's do fully Gashmias. Lailo, Golus. Why do we have to have the same words, the same tefillahs 3 times a day? Says Aryeh Kaplan, phenomenal. He says, because the words are literally a mantra. What does that mean? When you say the same words again and again and again, and the words bring you to what? It's a meditative experience. They bring you more to more. I mean, don't concentrate on after you've said it for 70 years, 50 years, 30 years, 40 years. So the words, you don't have to concentrate on the words. You concentrate beyond the words. The words become a mantra to bring you beyond the words. You get to the silence which lies, the meaning which lies between the lines. This says Shmona Esrei is literally a meditative experience, which is a form of connecting, getting into your inner self. An unbelievable idea. I once met a Talmud of Shlomo Wolbe. Shlomo Wolbe, you can say that Aryeh Kaplan was well read and he knew about the Eastern ideas, and he was affected by it. In any case, so Shlomo Wolbe said exactly the same. Shmona Esrei, he says, the kavana is beyond the words. It's a form of meditation. It's a form of being able to connect to something beyond the words. But he said he never had the peace of mind to daven in that way, except Motzei Shabbos. After Shabbos, came Motzei Shabbos, he felt he had the menuchas hanefesh enough to be able to get into a meditative experience through the tefillah. Unbelievable. That is literally Ruach HaKodesh. Ruach HaKodesh means being able to access that which is beyond the conscious, access something which is beyond words, to get into that inner connection which there is between you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's tefillah. Tefillah is to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a form of connection. It's the lashon of Chazal is la'amid, to stand, to be oimed lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The ikar matter is to be oimed in front of him. The connection of being within Dalad HaMoisam of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The time Volozhner calls Shemoneh Esrei brings it to Spashtus Agashmis. It's all the same idea. Spashtus Agashmis doesn't mean magic. It's not a magic that suddenly you up in, it's like, okay, I've taken the lift to Mars. That's not what Spashtus Agashmis is. Spashtus Agashmis means to go beyond the husk, go beyond that which covers me, to enter into that inner being, enter into the real me which lies beyond my body. That real me. That's what it is. That is Spashtus Hagashmis. Ad kedei kach the Reb Chaim Volozhner writes, by Oyse Sholem B'Mleimov we do 3 steps back to re-enter into this world. But it's all the same. It's a meditative experience, which Reb Chaim Vital talked about barichas, which is to connect to your inner self. No one's running away. Meditation amongst Goyim is to run away from yourself. We don't run away. We search for the real self inside. And the meditation enables us to connect to that inner harmony, which that harmony is the kedusha which lies within me. And therefore it's phenomenal to read him. He said, the time says, go into a closed room. There's no one around. The room where there's no one around. Go into a room where there's no one around because no one to disturb you. There's no one to disturb you. And you start thinking. And think about something again and again and again. You start thinking about, there was loads of different ways they did it. But Avrom Abulafia, at the time of the Rashba, used to write the Yud Kei Vovke. He used to write it again and again and again and again. And that was a form of mantra. It was to be machavenim. And by the way, Harry Kaplan says that's the word kavona. Kavona is like a chet, you machaven, to target you somewhere. Tefillah is a form of chet, which targets you to where? To that within what's within me. So you can do it through words of tefillah. It can be done through writing the Yud Kei Vovke. There was loads of different ways they did it. Ari Kaplan says in one place, in one of his books, he says, all the Nevi'im and the Ovis, what were they? Shepherds. Why were they shepherds? They've never thought of it. What was it? It was like today in Golders Green, they're all working in building, they're all working in what they called. That was the job then, you know what I mean? Now today, like today, this property, there was then shepherds. Says a Barry Kaplan, that's not what I was. When the shepherd goes to the middle, a shepherd goes with the flock, and they go out into the wild, away from human beings. He says, where's the place to meditate? Hisboidedus. What's hisboidedus? The translation of the word lehit boded. To be alone. To find yourself. When you're with others, it's disturbing. You can't find yourself. Finding yourself. All this avoid of this, all this avoid of going to be shepherds and going into the wilderness. All this is built on one yesod. Within you lies the greatest connection to above. All you have to do is find it. And the Bishlam gave us ways. Tefillah, hisboidedus. You know, he says in another place, it wondered me, I'm just thinking, remembering all the things Ari Kaplan says. He said one of the Baal Shem Tov was very much into it. Baal Shem Tov was very, very much into this, I'm calling it meditation because that's the way we say it. We can call it isboidedus. We can call it avodat pnimit. You can call it whatever you want. Rabbi Nachman went to the forest. Just like the Ovids went to the Midbar when they were for their avodah. It says Eric Kaplan, a wonderful idea. It says, have you ever seen the dancing and the singing of Hasidim? It's wonderful. I mean, I love it because it shows you that there is nothing which Klal Yisrael do which is without thought before. You know, today, if you go to one of these singing things in a concert, so they sing one song and they get another song, another song. If you ever go to a Kofis by the Chassidic Rebbe's, it's the same 4 words sung hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Hundreds of times. Yeah? Hundreds of times. Simchas Torah, what do we dance? Hundreds of times, the same few words. Yeah? Hundreds of times. And the way they dance. Today there's all sorts of giggles and fancy dances. A very simple 1 leg back, 1 leg back, 1 leg back, 1 leg back. What was the purpose, Larry Kaplan? That's a meditative experience. When a person does an action over and over and over and over again, the mind goes beyond the action. Whether it's singing the same words, a mantra can be an action and a mantra can be words. What about Shem Tov and his Talmidim were mashrish in Klal Yisrael was different ways of getting to that meditative experience, which enables a person to access himself. For within him lies the greatest gift. Now you're beginning to understand how when we talk about philosophers in the Mukubalim, they look at you that the difference is a purely theoretical one. Theoretical one of this. Here there's a practical implication. A change of avodah. A change. What am I looking for? According to the Rambam, there's nothing within you. Nothing. You have to have other ways to get Kedusha. In the Mukubalim, it's a search within the person. You're looking for your inner self. Therefore, the whole idea, the Navua is an out-of-body experience, according to the Rambam. According to the Mukubalim, it's a very in-body experience. And the other difference is avodah. There's so much on with Mukubalim and Hasidim. The Hasidim went to extremes. So much based on what? On his voidedus, on the inner person, on finding yourself. Again, we're talking about meditation, but not to get away from yourself. Not to cloud the mind to go somewhere else. But to cloud the outside, to move away the outside, to find who's the real me, to get inside me, to different avoid. And that is what we're going to, this was the Hagdama, we're going to carry on with Hashem next week. Inside from Oisei, it's Hashem. And we'll see different ways in which Ramchal himself, you know what, let's read this. If we can read Oisei, do you have it open? Well, you know what, let's leave it to next week. Let's leave it to next week. We'll talk about this more. This is really one of the first times where there's a practical implication, really. Not the little one, not the small one. It changes our perspective on ourselves. And it changes everything. Feel everything. And next time when they're dancing and singing, it's nicht stam tanzen and nicht stam singen. It's something completely, something else completely. Say a gute Nacht, seid mir gesund.
Tonight is the yard title of Shlomo Carlebach.
No, that's it. You know what? That's the best example. One of the best examples. You know what this song, High on High? That's what it is.
Right. Yeah. Hashem.
Ability. By the way, the Nevi, how do they masig Nevius? the massing of this through clay shield. Why? Because music has the ability to move you beyond yourself. When a person, the calmness, the harmony, the feeling that there is there moves a person, not the word is not beyond himself, moves a person within himself. The high on high that the Rebbe of Shlomo was talking about was not there, it was here. But when you got to your high on high, touched high on high, you've been Ilui Neshama,
Amen.
Shlomo, the Tzadi v'Kodesh Levnocha, a gute Nacht,
Good
Dein
night,
Gesinkt,
Tom.
look
Good
after
night.
yourselves. Good to
Peace
see
out.
you. Welcome.
So, yeah.
Well,